Hello, hi everyone. Good evening.
Good evening, Venkatesh.
Okay, so let's quickly start the session. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So today we'll be starting with the topic of Idoc. So before that, to let you know, we have 4 topics left in level 2. So let's try to complete 2 topics at least today so that we can complete 2 more topics tomorrow and close the course this week, or if not, we need to stretch this for next week. We'll see how this topic goes, and then we'll see if we have time, then we can start with the second topic. So the first topic what we will discuss today is Idoc. So what is Idoc and why do we use Idoc? So first thing to explain regarding what is Idoc is, Idoc is nothing but the intermediate document. Intermediate document. The full form of Idoc is intermediate document. So this intermediate document will help to transfer the data from one system to other system. So this is not a software, or this is not a tool to transfer the data from one system to other system, but this will transfer the data from one system to other system. So this is called as the carrier, or in a normal terminology, you can call it as a basket. So what this IDOC does is, this IDOC is going to take all the data from one system, store it in the carrier, and take to the other system and drop it there. So that is a job of IDOC. So apart from this IDOC does not do anything. Okay. In this IDOC, we have 2 types. One is the ALE and one is the ED. ALE is nothing but application link enabling. And EDI is electronic data interface. ALE is nothing but application link enabling, and EDI is nothing but electronic data interface. So why we have these 2 different types of IDOCs? We have these 2 different types of IDOC because it depends on how are we going to transfer the data from one system to the system. If we are transferring the data from SAP to SAP, if the data is getting transferred from SAP to SAP, then we'll be using the IDOC called ALE. If you are transferring the data from SAP to non-SAP, then we will be using the EDI. Or it might also be vice versa. Okay, if you're transferring the data from SAP to non-SAP system, or if you're going to get the data from non-SAP to SAP system, then in both the cases, it is called as EDI. So this IDOC is very important for a functional consultant. I'm not talking about a technical consultant. It is very important for a functional consultant. So initially what happened, initially there were a different consultant who is going to completely handle this IDOC part, who was working on the interfaces. But nowadays, what is happening is we are getting a short projects. That is the reason. So everything needs to be configured by consultant. So this IDOC is not only configured by consultant. Each and every consultant who is in the market needs to know what is IDOC. If it is an consultant, he will be just transferring the master data and transaction data like material master, vendor master, purchase orders, contracts, all those things. And Idoc is also used by the salesperson to transfer the sales order and their master data. Even finance uses it to transfer the GL accounts, all those things. And even salesperson will be transferring the billing documents, all those things. Any document going from one system to other system should go through Idoc. There are other mediums also, but Idoc is the SAP standard medium to send the data or receive the data. So this is used by all the modules and all the people. So not only MM consultant should know about this, but everyone should know about this. Okay, as I mentioned, as we are getting short projects, Idoc is also handled by the functional consultants. So that is the reason when you're giving an interview, this might be one question. Did you work on the Idocs? Before, as I mentioned before, it was not mandatory. Nowadays, it is mandatory. If you're going to give an interview for any consultant, Idoc is mandatory for consultants. So if you're putting more than 5 years of experience, then definitely you should know regarding the Idoc in depth. Okay, so this is the background of Idoc. And now coming to the different types of Idoc, we have ALE Idoc. So as I mentioned, ALA Idoc is used to transfer the data from SAP to SAP system. And ALE is the tool. Okay, so ALE will understand what data to transfer to the other system. And it is going to fetch all the information and put it in a carrier. And carrier will carry the goods from one system to other system and drop there. And in the receiving system also, you will have an ALE. So that system is going to take the data and drop into the and feed the system. I cannot tell drop because carrier is dropping the data. So ALE will take the drop data and is going to feed the system. So that is ALE. Now coming to EDI. EDI is nothing but an electronic data interface where you're going to transfer the data from SAP to non-SAP system, or you're going to receive the data from non-SAP to SAP system. In that case, what happens is EDI will fetch the data from SAP and it will send the data to non-SAP system. But in between this, when you're transferring the data from SAP to non-SAP, you cannot transfer the data straight away, straightforward. ALE, you are directly transferring the data, but in EDI, you cannot transfer the data in a straightforward because SAP is using a JavaScript programming. Okay, and any non-SAP system, it will be using other program. Okay, now in ALE, when you're transferring the data from SAP to non-SAP to SAP system, even this is using JavaScript. Even this is using JavaScript. So you can directly transfer the data. The data what you're sending from this system to this system, both systems are using same language and the data will be understandable. So now when you're speaking to some other person, for example, I live in Bangalore. When I speak to some other person in my local language, so he will understand because even he knows the local language. But if I go to other state and speak in my local language, he will not understand. If I don't know that his local language, then you need a translator. In the same way, if you're in local area and you're speaking in local language, so they will understand. So SAP is understanding the SAP language. Now I'm in local. I'm speaking local language to the other person who is in other state. He's not able to understand. So in that case, I need a translator. I need a translator who can translate the language of Java to other programming language. So the translator is called as the middleware. What this middleware is going to do is, whenever you start sending the information from SAP, the data will first go to the middleware. In middleware is a different team. You are not going to handle middleware. So middleware is a different team that depends on what middleware are they using? Or if you are using SAP M1, SAP M1 is the standard middleware. Then you have Azure. Okay, there are a lot of middlewares, but these are the mostly used middlewares. Okay, middleware will be working on the programming to convert one program into other program. So what this middleware does is this middleware will receive the data from SAP, translate the data or translate the data into another language. It should know what is the source language. It should also know the destination language. So the data coming from SAP will go to middleware. It is in JavaScript. So middleware will analyze that, or middleware understand that it is a JavaScript, and it is going to see what is the destination language, and it is going to convert that language into destination language and then send to the non-SAP system. In the same way, when you are receiving the data from non-SAP system will send the data to middleware first, and from middleware it will get translated to JavaScript and then come to SAP. So this is how Idoc is going to work, and this is how ALE and EDI is going to work. In most of the cases, let me take an example. Now, if you are going to send a purchase order to supplier, we have seen the output management. In output management, we have seen the option of sending the PO through printout, sending the PO through fax, sending the PO through ALE, EDI. So if you are using SAP, and if supplier is also using SAP, then you can configure the system for ALE. If you are using SAP and supplier is not using SAP, then you can configure EDI to send the purchase order directly to supplier. So this is one of the examples. Okay. So before I go into other sections in Idoc, any questions here? In the meanwhile, I'll log into SAP. Any questions? Okay. If no questions, then let me go into depth regarding Idoc. So this is the content of Idoc, which is combined with the technical consultant as well as the functional consultant. Normally, technical part will be more in this Idoc, and functional part will be less. We are going to consider only the functional part here and discuss regarding only the functional part. So here, if I see the target audience will be functional as well as ABAPus. Why we need ABAPus? We need ABAPus here because we need to create the segments. We need to decide which data should we send out of the system and which data we should receive into system. So that part is done by the ABAPus. The complete SPRO configuration, the complete condition records, master data will be done by the functional consultant. And complete technical things will be done by the ABAPer. Okay. So if I go into first thing, here it is mentioned as ALE and EDI IDOC. So we already discussed regarding what is ALE, what is EDI. ALE is nothing but you're going to send the data from SAP to SAP. And EDI is nothing but you're sending the data from SAP to non-SAP. Okay. Then you have the IDOC. So we also discussed regarding the IDOC. So Idoc is nothing but a carrier which carries the data from one system to the system, just a carrier. Now segment. What is segment? These terminologies, what all terminologies I'm going to explain in this session is going to be very, very important. You should know each and every terminology. Only then you will be able to explain what is an Idoc and how Idoc works. Okay. So segments. Segments are nothing but, as I mentioned now, Idoc is going to carry the data from one system to the system. So what all data is the Idoc carrying? So to understand what all data is the Idoc carrying, we need to check the segments, because segments are going to store the information, or segments are going to tell us what are the information we are sending to other system or we are receiving to other system. So let me just show how segment looks. I'll show all these transactions, everything later on in system. As of now, I'm just showing you how the segment looks. So these are the segments. Segments will be named in the table name. So for example, if you're sending a material, then you all guys know in which table the material is getting stored. So material general data is getting stored, or basic data is getting stored in MARA. Plant data is getting stored in MARC. Storage location data is getting stored on MARD. Valuation is getting stored on MBEW. So if I write down that part, okay. Give me a second. Note on these tables, you will be using these tables from tomorrow, today and tomorrow also. So for material, we use MARA. This is the basic data. MARC, this is the plant data. MARD, this is storage location data. MBEW, this is evaluation data. Okay, so these are the important tables for material. If I go to vendor, for vendor, it is LFA1. This is going to store general data. LFB1, this is going to store company code data. LFM1, this is going to store the purchase of data. Then we have the PO. Let me discuss getting PR. In PR, we have only one table, which is E1. PR header and item table. And for PO, you will be using EKKO. This is PO header data. EKPO, this is PO item data. This is same for contract. Same for scheduled agreement. Okay. Then you have PIR. For PIR, we will be using EINA, EINE. This is the general data. This is the purchase of data. So these are the basic tables. At least you need to know regarding these tables. Okay. So now these segments, let me go back to the segments now. These segments are going to show which all tables are we going to send to the other system. So if I click on one segment here, if you observe here, you have MARA. So this is the basic data of the material. So this is going to have the material number, gross weight, net weight, all those things. And if I go to MAKT, this is going to store the description with the industry sector, and the material type, all those things. Then if I go to MARC, this is going to tell the plant data. You can see the plant here. Okay. If I go to MARM or MBEW is going to get the valuation data. So you can see the valuation class. You can see the standard price. What is the price? All those things. So the data is going out of system in this format. So segments are going to tell us which table is going out or coming in, and under that table, what are the fields. As you know, in Material Master, in Material, we have 3000 fields, approximately some 1500 to 2000 fields. But here we are sending only some fields. If I go to MARA, just in MARA, you have a lot of fields. If I go to MARM in the tables level, header level. So you can see a lot of things here which are going to receive with the receiving system. We are sending this information from our system. So segments is going to store the information what we are going to send. So segments will tell us what information is getting transferred from one system to other system. Okay. So we discussed regarding what is EDI, what is ALE, what is Idoc, what is segments. And we also discussed why are we using ALE and why we are using Idoc. Okay. Now coming to the next section, which is Idoc type and the message type. So what is Idoc type and message type? Idoc type is nothing but in SAP, as I mentioned, you have Idoc, which is a carrier. So you have multiple carriers. So you need to set system saying that using which carrier do you want to send the data. For example, if you go to a shopping mall or shopping, to do shopping, you will find the baskets. So as soon as you go, you take the basket and you fill everything into that basket and come to the billing section for the billing. So you are taking a basket and deciding that I need to fill the items in this basket. In the same way, when you decide that you need to send the information from this system to that system, you need to decide through which carrier, through which IDOC type am I going to send the data from this system to that system. So that is an IDOC type. Then you have the message type. Message type is nothing but what type of message are you going to send. So I said that you can send the material, you can send vendor, you can send invoices, you can send PO, you can send PIR, you can receive the order confirmation, you can receive the invoices, you can receive the ASN. So these all are your messages. So material, vendor, invoice, order confirmation, ASN, billing documents, PO, contracts. So all these are your messages. So SAP IDOC has differentiated this information using the terminology called as message type. Okay, now if I write down the message type what we have in SAP, so we have matmas, which is used for material. We have devmas, which is used to send vendor or receive the vendor. You have cremas, which is used to send customer or receive the customer. You have INVOIC, INVOIC. This is for invoice. You have ORDERS to send the PO or contract or schedule agreement. Then you have ORDESP, which is used for order confirmation. Okay, so these are the message types. If I show this in system, so here you have the message type. This is stored as matmas. So when I say matmas, we are going to send or receive the material. There are a lot of message types here. These all are used in those own manner. Okay, if I try to find one, I'm still in B series. Message type. Let me try to show the message types. So you can see if I type BEB, so you have dev master, which is customer master. If I put CRE, so you have pre-master, which is vendor master. Then you have INV, you have invoice, which is for invoice or billing document. Then you have order. So here you have the orders, which is going to give you to purchase order. Okay, so these are the message types. So message type is going to decide which type of information are we going to send out on receive it. Okay, with the message type, I don't think so it is listed here or not. With the message type, there is also an other information called as basic type. So there is another option called basic type. Basic type is going to decide the versions of the message type. For example, if I put mathmas here, okay, if I put mathmas here, partner road is LA, okay, not found, it should be LS, sorry. Okay, now here you have put a message type as mathmas. That means you are telling system that you are going to send the material. Okay, but in material, there are different versions. Initially, when SAP introduced this Idoc and created the mathmas, then first version was mathmas. Then after some days, they included some more fields and then created mathmas 01. Then mathmas 02 came, mathmas 03 came. So that versions are listed down here. Currently, we are using mathmas 07. These are the versions of the message types. Okay. Then going further, then we have this standard Idoc and custom Idoc. Standard Idoc is nothing but sending the standard fields. For example, in Material Master, you have standard fields like gross weight, net weight, description, all those things. So that is going to be standard. You can directly use this message type, matma07, and you will have that field for sure in this basic type or message type, and you can send it. Assume that you're working in a conversion project. In the conversion project in legacy system, they have done the custom things. So they have created some custom fields. Apart from standard fields, they also added the custom fields. In that case, if you want to send that custom fields also to an IDOC, then you need a custom IDOC to be created. You need to include the custom fields. So when you're including the custom fields into a standard IDOC, then that is called as a custom IDOC. Okay. So let me also explain this part and then open the forum for the question. Okay. And this remaining all are regarding the technical part. I'll also try to explain something regarding technical. Now, the next thing is, in how many ways can we trigger the IDOC? So first type of triggering the IDOC is standalone. Standalone is nothing but just sending the master data and the transaction data. So if you want to send a message, sorry, if you want to send the material from one system to other system, or if you want to send the configuration which is done in one system to the system, then you can use this standalone message type. So standalone message type does not need anything, any configuration. You just need the IDOC configuration. You need to decide which IDOC are we going to create? It is a ALE or EDI. Then you need to configure the message type and say through which message type are you going to send. And then you're going to directly trigger the transaction that will send all the master data into other system. That is standalone. So that is just applicable for your master data or like material master. You want to transfer the material master. Okay, you can do that using one transaction. Coming to the second IDOC type or different ways to trigger an IDOC is the message control. In message control, you can just trigger the transaction data. When I can say you are just going to trigger the transaction data, here the transaction data meaning is not the configuration. Here the transaction data is nothing but your purchase orders. Your purchase orders, your contracts, your schedule agreements. So these are your transaction data, RFQ. So all these are your transaction data. So for this, also you need to do a configuration of decide which IDOC you need to use, decide from which message type you need to send the data, and then trigger it. Now you may have a question, the standalone is also working the same way, and the message control is also working the same way. But there is one difference between standalone and message control. When you're doing standalone, you don't want to do the output configuration. If you remember, we did an output management configuration for the purchase orders to send the PO from our system to other system or vendor system. In standalone, you don't want to do that. There is no configuration for standalone. But coming to message control, you need to do the configuration of the output management. You need to create the condition type, you need to design the condition table, create the access sequence, create the condition type, decide on which condition you need to send the output, then maintain the condition records, get the trigger in your purchase order, and then send the PDF to the vendors. So that is the message. You are just sending the message to the vendor. You are not sending the data to the vendor. When I say standalone, you are sending the complete material information, material master into the other system. So when you're sending the data through standalone, that information is getting created in another system. Now, for example, you have a material in SAP system and you're sending that to non-SAP system, and the same material will get created in that other system also. But in message control, the data is not getting created in the destination system. You are just sending the information or the message saying that I have placed a purchase order, I need this material on this date. That is the message control. Then we have the change pointer. So what is change pointer? Change pointer is nothing but assume that this is applicable only for master data. Assume that today you're going to create a material. You created a material named material number was 1001 and the material name was just M1. So you created today. When you create a material, you used standalone. Okay, let me write it down. It will become more easy. So you have one SAP system and you have other SAP system. So today it's 27. You are creating a material M1, okay, with the description test. And you also have a lot of information like base unit of measure, material group, gross weight, net weight, and the evaluation class, price control, price. Unit of measure is each, material group is 9999, gross weight is 15 kg, net weight is 18 kg, valuation class is 3000, price control is S, and the price is 100. You are creating this material today in SAP system, in SAP 1 system, and you are triggering an IDOC. When you trigger an IDOC, this information will be sent to this system, SAP 2 system, and all the information will be same. And all the information will be sent directly to this system using an Idoc. Okay. So now, tomorrow, 28th of 7th, when you're checking the system, you understood or you received an information from this system, SAP2 system, saying that the material was created in a wrong data. The valuation class of this material should not be 3,000, it should be 4,000. So now, if you're changing some information in this system, I'm just changing this field. I'm not changing the complete material. I'm just changing this value from 3,000 to 4,000 on this date. Again, if this material gets transferred to this system, the material name is same. The material number is same. So what system will do? It will find a duplicate. The data is duplicate, so it will not load anything. Instead of creating a standalone, instead of triggering a standalone, I will trigger a change pointer. I will trigger a change pointer and tell that this material should again go to the system. And if the material exists, then it should check what are the changes in this material and do only that change in the destination system. Is source. Okay, so this is the change pointer. So change pointer is going to just change the information, what is changed in the source system to the destination system. So first thing, the standalone, that is going to transfer the master data and the configuration data. Message control, you are just transferring the transaction data. You are just letting other system know that this is information. Then you have the change pointer that is only applicable for master data. Whenever you create this data, then if you change the data in the source system, that will auto transfer to the destination system. So these are the triggering points for Idoc. So to do the configuration of Idoc, so we understood what is Idoc, what are the different types of Idoc, how can we trigger the Idoc, and in what conditions are we going to trigger the Idoc. Then now we will see how to configure Idoc system. We will not be able to connect one SAP1 and SAP2. We will be using this one single SAP, and we will try to just trigger an outbound and see how the data is getting triggered. Before that, we need to discuss regarding two terminologies. One is outbound, what is inbound. So outbound is nothing but the data which is going out of SAP system to the other system, or whatever data you're going to send outside the system is an outbound. Whatever data you're going to receive is called as an inbound. So to differentiate outbound and inbound, we have the status records. So there are three types of records in Idoc. You need to discuss all regarding that part also. So in Idoc, we have three types of data or records. One is the control record. The other one is a data record. And the other one is a status record. Okay. So control record is going to store the information of the Idoc, like Idoc number, who is a sender, who is a receiver, what is a message type, what is a basic type, all those things. Data record is going to hold or save the segments. Data record is going to save the segments. So when I say segments, the information of fields. What are the fields? Or table of fields, I can tell table of fields. What are the table of fields we are going to send to the other system? Then we have the status record. Status record is going to store the information in two manner. One is the outbound, one is inbound. So this status record is going to tell what is the status of the Idoc. Is Idoc successfully sent or Idoc is not sent? If it is sent, then it will show in green. If it is not sent, then it will show in red. So if it is not sent, then it will also give you the reason why it is not sent. For example, if I open some of the Idoc here, this is green. So this is an inbound Idoc. This is an inbound Idoc. So it is green, it is received. The status record is 68. When I say status record, 1 to 50 is an outbound status. Whenever you see the number from 1 to 50, let me show that example. So if I go here and put an Idoc is outbound, okay, here I see the status record as 03. The number of status starting from 1 to 50 is an inbound Idoc. And the status record starting from 51 to 78 or 80, 51 to 80 is an outbound Idoc. Sorry, it is an inbound Idoc, sorry. 1 to 50 is an outbound Idoc. 51 to 80 is an inbound Idoc. Okay. Then let me show this part also. As I mentioned, we have three records. One is control record, one is data record, one is status record. If I open the control record, in control record, I'll be able to see the information. What is the Idoc number? What is the direction? It is an inbound or outbound. Status. What is the message type? Who is the sender and who is the receiver? Only this information I'll have in the control record. In data record, as I showed, you will have all the segments with the information of tables and fields. What is the information we are sending or receiving? Then we have the status record to show what is the status of the Idoc. It is sent or it is stuck somewhere. If it is stuck somewhere, then we need to see why it is stuck and resolve the issue. So what is the job of a consultant here? In the greenfield implementation or conversion project, initially consultant is going to set up this Idoc configuration. So Idoc configuration is not done by the functional consultant individually. It is done by the basis consultant, functional consultant, and the technical consultant. So connecting the system, for example, now I have one SAP system and you have one SAP system. If these two systems needs to be connected, then that is done by the basis team. So what basis does? Basis is going to create the logical system. So let me write down here what basis does is config. Config of Idoc. So first thing is logical system. Logical system is nothing but the name of the system. Second thing is the RFC destination. RFC destination is nothing but this RFC destination is going to create the connection between the systems. I'll show how the screen looks, but we will not be able to connect it because it is a basis job. Then the third job which is done by the basis is the port creation. These terminologies are very, very important. When you are configuring the Idoc, you need to ask basis if these three jobs are done from their end or not. So what is port? So this is one system. This is the other system. And the information is going from this system to this system, or the information is coming from this system to this system. So port is nothing but building a gate. Port will be created for both the systems. Port is nothing but a gate. Now we are sending the information from this system to this system. So when the information is going, it should get an approval of the port. So port will understand through which gate are we transferring the data. For example, now I have only one SAP system here. I have multiple suppliers. I have a lot of connections to each supplier. I have built a connection with all the suppliers. So if I don't have the port, then this data, this is a SAP system, this is a vendor. Whatever POs I create, how system will understand which PO should go to which supplier? If I have a port created and tell that when the supplier is this, that PO should cross this port and go to the supplier. So port will help us to understand how the data should be sent and what data is sent and to whom it should send. In the same way, the receiver also will have a port created. It is like a firewall. So receiver will check what data are we coming in. If I keep the system open, and if everyone is sending the data, someone from outside is also sending the data, I might also send a malware. So that might crash their system. So you are going to create a port for going out and coming in. So that will help the safety of system and also the data privacy. So that is a port creation. These three jobs are done by the basis consultant. Once these three jobs are done, then the ABAPer comes into picture. ABAPer is going to create the message type. The message type and basic type are standard. If you need anything apart from this, then this will be created with ABAPer. Then you have one more thing is segment. When you create basic type of message type, they will involve the segment also here. So this is done by basis. This is done by ABAP. Now coming to the functional job. Functional are going to create the partner profile. Under partner profile, they are going to decide what are the inbound to receive, what are the outbound to receive. So this job is done by the functional consultant. Okay, and the functional consultant role ends here in the configuration. And the person who is going to get hired on the support project should have more idea on Idoc. Because if any Idoc is getting stuck anywhere, it is getting failed, then that will come to the consultant, and consultant should check why it is getting failed and reach out to the specific team and get it resolved. So that is the reason you need to know what basis does, what ABAPA does, and what functional does. Okay. Before I move to system and show this 7 steps, any questions? And let me also write down the transactions. For logical system and RFC, it is sale. For this, it is WE19, WE21, sorry, for port creation. And for partner profile, it is WE20. And if you want to re-trigger the IDOC, once the IDOC is failed, if you want to re-trigger the IDOC, then you can use WE18 or 19. I don't remember, 18 or 19. You can check that to re-trigger the IDOC. Okay. Any questions?
Venkatesh,
Yes.
in the inbounds and outbound, like for the partner profile means each vendor, when we create the PO, there will be some additional values that is also called as inbound, right?
Additional values, you mean?
Overheads, of the transportation charges, other charges
No.
that will be called as
That information
inbound
is
value
going to get stored in the segments.
segments.
All the information regarding the vendor, when I say segment, I defined here what is segment. Segment is going to store the data of tables and fields. So the information what you mentioned is type of fields. So transportation zone, shipping condition, all those are the fields. So those are getting stored in the segments, and you're not going to involve that in the partner profiles.
Okay, thank you.
Venkatesh, like, is there any live project? Like Akshay had told, there'll be one live project session. It will happen.
When you mean live project session,
Like all these chapters which you had covered,
mhm.
like there'll be a demo of how actually the live project works.
No, the live project is going to get covered in the internship program, not here.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to know what internship program is and how it is going to work, ping me personally. I'll share the demo link. You can see what is going to happen there. If we start doing one complete end-to-end cycle or end-to-end implementation, it will take nearly 1 year.
Okay. And the supplier evaluation, the Agile, that topic it won't be covering, Venkatesh.
No, supplier evaluation is not covered here, I guess. Once again, is that listed down in the syllabus?
The thing is, when Akshay had shared the syllabus list, he had sent those also.
Mhm. Okay, if the supplier evaluation is in the list, then I'll cover the supplier evaluation, not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
So let me list down what are left over now. So if we cover Idoc today, we are left with the FS documents. We will be left with support tickets, and we will be left with GST. And if supplier evaluation is in the list, then we will have supplier evaluation. So yeah, we are left with still 4 topics: FS, support tickets, GST, and supplier evaluation. Then coming to the level 1, we are left with only MRP there.
Okay.
If you find anything which is not covered, you can let me know. I can check that.
And this video recording will be accessible for us till 1 year, right?
No, from if it is 1 year, then it should be 8 months from now, because we already
Yeah.
passed 4 months, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any questions here regarding Idoc?
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yes.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Tell me.
Sir, in general, where you can find maximum errors in while creating, like in the process of IDOC? In general, regular errors, what we are going to get?
The errors will be the data getting stuck in the queue. That might be one. And the data not passing the port. The port is not giving the approval to receive the data. And some partner profile issues. And when you are configuring the system and you are mentioning that you are going to receive the information through a matmas, for example, matmas 07, and from other system, you are going to receive the information which is not in the segment. There are 1 or 2 fields which are custom developed, and those are not in the standard message type or segments. Then that will get stuck, saying that system will not understand where it should feed the data. So that might get stuck. So these are some of the issues.
Like, can we get any messages like replay? So where you are going to start, which part
Yes,
is not yet come?
you will get it here. If I open some failed idocs, let me show some failed idocs. In the outbound, let me take some inbound. And current status, I can stick 53, 51. So, So here you can see in the status, 51 is the failed IDOC. You can see the red icon here. That means it is failed. And if you open the message, so here you will be able to see the error message. So it is not supporting the program. So in this case, you need to contact a developer to check with him how it should be resolved from program side.
Okay, sir.
Any more questions? Okay, if no questions, then let me start with the first step of creating the logical system. That is not done by us, that will be done by basis. I'll show where it will be done. So the transaction is sale. SALE. SALE is the transaction. So this will open up the configuration for Idoc. We will not be doing the configuration through SPRO. We'll be doing the configuration through the sale. And if I open the basic settings here, here you will see the logical system. So here in this logical system, you will be creating the name of the system. So if I open this, here you see define logical system. So when I say name of the system, this is a cross client. When you see this is a cross client, you will not have the TR getting generating. It will get the workbench. Okay. So if I click OK, so here you will be seeing the system names. Our system name is, if you open here, you will be able to see system name is A4H. So our system name is A4H client 100. So this is the standard system name of our system. A4H, first is the A4H system name. Then we are telling client CLNT. And then you have the 100. So this is a system name. Okay. This is the first thing what basis does. Suppose they create, this is just a new entry. They click on new entry, they put the name and just put the description. Nothing apart from this. Then the second step is they are going to assign the logical system to the client. So we said that client is 100. So this is a cross client. So we are into client 100. They are going to assign the logical system here, so that this system name and this client will be mapped together. Okay, this is the first config. Logical system is the first config. Okay. Then second thing is the RFC destination. So I'll close the logical system and open the communication. So the RFC connection is nothing but building the connection between the receiver and sender, or sender and the receiver. So here we have different types of connections. We have the ABAP connection. We have the HTTP connection. We have the logical connection. Okay. So normally what is the difference is, if you go with ABAP connection is nothing but connecting the system with the system ID. HTTP connection is nothing but connecting the system using a program. In this case, you need the ABAPer help. Then you have the logical connection. Logical connection is telling you to connect the system using an IP address. So this logical connection and the IP connections will use the IP address of the other system. So if I go to the ABAP connection, so if I open any one of this, so here you will have the target host. This information you need to get from the other system. So you need to contact the other system owner and ask for the target host. So they will provide the target host. instance number. If you want to see our system name, everything, so in the logon pad, if you click on edit here, you will see the application server, instance number, system ID. This information is our information, our system information. In the same way, you will also have the receive with other system information like target host, instance number. Okay, so you need to get this information. You can contact them and get this information. You can put this information here. With this, you also need to ask the other system to create a user ID and the password in your name, so that when you click on this remote logon or connection test, the connection will pass. If not, it will fail. After you put this information in save, logon security, so you need to put the username and password of the other system. And if you click on connection test, if connection test is coming like this, then there is an issue with the details what they have given. If connection detail is passed, it will show as connections, it has taken 6 seconds, 5 seconds to build the connection. Then it is passed. So this is a task is done by the basis. Okay. Next thing. We covered logical system. We covered RFC connection. This is not done by us. It is done by basis. You need to just know what is the information of this. Then they create the port. To create the port, they will be using WE21 is a transaction. Okay. Here you have two types, which is very much used. One is a transaction RFC, one is XML HTTP. If you're going to transfer the data to a web service, to a website, you're not going to send the data to the software, you're sending the data to the website. Then you will use XML HTTP. If you're sending the data to the software, then you will use transaction RFC. So here, you need to click on create. Okay. Put the RFC destination, what is? Put the RFC destination, what you created. So as soon as you put the RFC destination here, for this RFC destination can be created only for one system to one system. If you're creating connection from one system to multiple systems, then you will have multiple RFC destination. So if you put the RFC destination here, then this port will become the gate for this connection. This is the port creation. This also will be done by the basis. Okay. Then I'm not going to cover anything regarding the technical part here. I'm going to just cover the functional now. So as I mentioned, functional will just create the partner function, partner profile. So that is done by WE20. So in WE20, now you have different types of partners here. One is partner with logical system. Partner with vendor. If you're sending the information from system to system, from SAP to system to SAP system, or if you're sending the data from SAP system to non-SAP system, then you will be using logical system. If you're sending the data just as a message control, then you can use this vendor. Okay. So if I explain the logical system here first, this is your system. A4H client 100. Now you need to define here, click on create. Unless A4H is locked, somewhere it is open. Let me open that. So here, you need to click on create and then tell what type of information you want to send out. So here, if you see, there will be two sections. One is outbound, one is inbound. In outbound, you need to define what information you need to send out. And in inbound, you need to define what information you need to receive. So here, matmas is already defined. So let me tell how a matmas was entered here. So here, this is sender. put what type of message are you going to send. Okay, put 3 bars. Okay, then who is the receiver port? So whatever port you create for the receiver, so who is the receiver? You will have a port created. I just showed how to create a port. That will be done by basis. You can get the port number from him and put it in the here. Then put the basic type saying that what is the latest message type. So it's 07. I'll use this. Go to the message control. Package size only one. Package size is nothing but at a time, how many data you want to send, how many records do you want to send. So as of now, I'm giving 1. Okay. And here you have the output mode. Do you want to send the information immediately, or do you want to send collecting all the information you want to send manually? So if you give immediately, then it will go immediately. If you give collect, then it will collect. Okay. You need to fill this information and then just save. That will get added here. Okay. Now, if you want to send the master data, for material, you have 1 transaction. For vendor, you have 1 transaction. The transaction is BD10. If you go to BD10, BD10 is a transaction to send the materials. So what material you want to send? So I'll put the material number. To which system do I want to send? I'll select any other system and click on execute. When I execute this, an Idoc is getting generated. One master Idoc got created for MapMass. One communication Idoc got created for MapMass. When you see this message, one master Idoc, one communication Idoc, that means only then the Idoc is generated. Okay, I click OK. The material is now sent. So now let's see if the material is sent or not. To see the material is sent or not, you can check all the Idocs which are generated using WE09, or you can use WE05. WE05 is the same transaction as WE09. Okay, you can use any one. So let me, why is it getting executed directly? Okay, as I have only one Idoc, it is generating. So executing it. So I entered material as 1002. If I go and check the material number, so you have 1002 here. Okay, these all are the material information. So all the information is getting sent here, and the status is 03. 03 is nothing but Idoc is sent from our system. Okay, from our system, it is sent. We don't know it is received in the receiving system or not. That we cannot confirm. Only the receiver can confirm that the material is received from his end or not. But from our system, it is sent successfully. So if you configure the logical system, here if you see, I have just maintained MACMA 07, and the partner is this. This is the receiver, this is the sender. Okay, so from this system to this system, the information is going, but is he receiving? That we don't know. That we need to check from the receiver end. So from receiver end, some other consultant will be working. From receiver end, for sender end, we will be working. It can also be vice versa. From our system, if it is sent successfully, then we are not bothered about the other system who is receiving it. In case our data is falling under red, then we need to go and check the status, why it is getting failed, and then we need to resolve that issue from our end. So this is how the Idoc works. Any questions? Any questions regarding Idoc? Okay. If no questions regarding Idoc, then we will try to cover the support tickets because support tickets will not take much time. So let me open the file of support tickets. Sorry. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes, Venkatesh.
Okay. So here in this support tickets, what we are going to cover here is we are going to discuss what are the types of project we have in SAP. That is already we discussed. We said that we have a greenfield implementation, we have the conversion project, we have the rollout project, and we have support project. So to give a glance, so greenfield implementation is completely a scratch implementation. You'll be getting a vanilla system from SAP, and the business also will not be using any system. They'll be using an Excel, or they'll be using any other system apart from SAP. In that case, the project falls under the greenfield implementation. Second, we have the conversion project, which is also called as a brownfield implementation. So this brownfield implementation is going to convert the system from ECC to S4. This type of project is applicable only for the business who is using SAP ECC. If they want to convert or if they want to upgrade the system from ECC to S4, then they are going for the conversion project. Then we have the rollout project. The rollout project is nothing but they are going to implement SAP system in one plant first, and then they are going to start doing the same thing with other plants, seeing the revenue. Then we have the support project. Support project is going to be started. Support project will be started after the implementation and after the go live. So support project is nothing but, as I mentioned, it is going to start after the implementation. Now implementation can be done by one implementation partner, and the support can also be done by the same implementation partner. In some cases, if the agreement is done with the different implementation partner, they can come into picture. Okay, so whenever business starts using SAP in their daily activities, and if they face any errors or if they face any issues, then in that case, they will raise a ticket saying that this is the issue they are facing. So for example, now when you guys are working in SAP system, And if you find any error, you're going to send the error to me. So I'll be resolving that. And if it is an related issue, so I'll tell how it is resolved. If it is not related issue, then I'll be resolving it and I'll telling you the issue is resolved. In the same way, if business end users are using SAP system and found any error and they are not able to move further, then in that case, they will be raising a ticket, and that ticket will be raised using a ticketing tool. So I also discussed regarding the ticketing tool when I was discussing regarding the explore phase. So there is a ticketing tool called Jira, Jira. There is already also a ticketing tool called Octane, where you can raise the tickets. And you can also use the Google form for ticketing. And there is also a remedy tool which is used for ticketing. So what they do is they raise the issue there with the screenshot with a clear explanation and description. Okay, and they submit the ticket. Then the consultant will come into picture there. There will be a lead consultant who is going to segregate all the tickets into different tickets. Okay, and you are going to accept the tickets. So the lead will segregate the tickets into different categories and he will assign those tickets to the person, and that person is going to receive the ticket and accept it or acknowledge it. Okay, as soon as he acknowledge, then he is going to analyze the issue. What might be the issue and why the issue might have been occurred. Is it a configuration issue or a master data issue? Okay, and then he's going to start documenting the issue. Because whenever you start analyzing the issue, you might check a lot of configuration. You might check a lot of master data. Okay, you might find some analysis. So those analysis need to be documented. Okay, because when you're submitting the solution to business, you need to provide the reason why it is causing an error and how did we solve it. And in the future, if you get the same error again, you can use this documentation to solve this without any analysis. Okay, you're going to document it, you're going to solve this and provide the solution to the business, and business is going to test it and confirm if it is working or not. Now, how are we going to solve it? So you will find the issue and you will find this is a configuration issue and you will change the config. But the configuration should be changed in the development system first. Move the configuration from development system to quality system. Test the functionality is working in test system or not, and only then move the solution to the production environment. Without testing, we should not move the solution to the production. Okay, and once you move the data to the production, then user is going to check if it is working fine in production and then confirm you saying that it is working fine and ask for the explanation, and then you're going to close the ticket. Okay, and now if the configuration is done by one implementation partner and the support is handled by other implementation partner, you need to ask for a change request. If you want to change anything in the configuration, you need to ask for a change request because the complete documentation is going to get changed. These are the rules which support consultant should know. Each and every business might have different rule set that they will be explaining you in the KT sessions when you're joining for a company to work as a support consultant. But you should know these might be the basic steps. If anything needs to be changed, you should raise a change request. Because if you want to change any configuration, then you're going to spend a lot of time for the development changes, testing, getting moved to the production. And other teams also will be asking, why should we move the TR to the production? Because you are spending time there. If you're spending time, then it should get paid. So you'll be raising a change request or a service request to get this done. Okay, and as I said, we have a lot of ticketing tools also here. Some are SM7 is also some ticketing tool. Okay. Then the role of a consultant in support project is, as I already mentioned, you need to handle the tickets and track the tickets. You need to fix the errors and provide the best solution to the business. And now, in some interviews, they might ask, if you say that you have worked in support project, they might ask you, what is the level of tickets you have worked? So the issues which are raised by business are categorized into different levels. So it can be high, medium, low. In some business, they might also raise critical, high, medium, low. Based on the incident level, we need to work. For example, if you're getting a critical incident that needs to be resolved immediately within 1 or 2 hours. If you're getting a high ticket, then that will have some 4 hours or 5 hours. If you're getting a medium ticket, then it is 8 hours. If it is a low, then it is 2 or 3 days. So if they can only raise the critical incident when you are getting a critical ticket, then that means the business is completely stopped. Only then they can raise a critical incident. The main job of supporting the consultant in support project is making the customer comfortable using SAP. Okay, so whoever is going to join support consultant, he need to gather all the information from the configuration team, understand the system, how it is configured, because each and every consultant will have his own solution, all his own requirement fulfilling. So if someone asks me giving an issue, I'll tell one resolution. If some other consultant comes, he will provide other solution. So we need to understand what solution is already built in system and then start working on the issues. Okay, that is how the support consultant should work. So I'll show some support tickets and I'll also ask Prabhu to assign some support tickets to you. I'll explain some 2 or 3 support tickets. And we have some 80 to 90 support tickets in Teachable. I'll ask Prabhu to assign those tickets to you guys and you can check those. We also have the video explanation there. Okay. So work process, I already explained this work process. How are we going to receive the ticket from customer and how are we going to support and how are we going to move that to the production without testing. So here I mentioned whenever a customer is logging an issue, you need to decide what is the priority of the ticket. Okay, then you need to fix this, get this tested, and then move the TR to the production. Okay, and I'll share this file also with you. Then we have the ticketing tool here. We also discussed regarding ticketing tool, what the ticketing tool we are using and how it is used. If I'm going to give a top brief on the ticketing tool, for example, if I take Zaira, as soon as the customer is raising the incident, that will be in the status of new. As soon as that is getting assigned to you, you need to mark it for the acknowledged, saying that the ticket has been received and I'll work on it. Once you receive it and start analyzing, you need to change the status to the analysis. And if you're preparing the documentation, then mark it as documented. Then if the issue is solved and moved to the quality system, then mark it as fixed. Get this tested, then move to production and mark the status for the customer review. So each and every tool will have different statuses. So you need to work on the different statuses. Okay. So marking the status, changing the status on time is very, very important. I have mentioned here, initially it will be open, then it will get assigned, then you need to acknowledge it, then you need to mark to in progress on analysis. If you're going to work on the with ABAP to get this changed in the program level, then you also need to say that it is combinedly worked with functional ABAP. Okay. I also attached a screenshot here how the ticketing tool looks. One second here. This is the remedy ticketing tool. And I have one demonstration video for one ticketing tool, which is called as I don't remember the name. Should be SAP enable now. No, SAP enable now is the recording tool. I'll find that recording and share with you. That is a confidential recording. I'll share with you guys in the Teams, but don't in WhatsApp, but don't share it outside. Okay. So that video will explain how are we going to handle that tool. So if I start explaining how the tool works, that doesn't help you because each and every company will be using different tool and the working culture will get changed. Okay. Then if there is no ticketing tool, still some of the business are still using the Google Forms. If they don't want to invest anything in the ticketing tool, they're still using Google Forms. Okay. Now coming to the SLA. So SLA is nothing but a service level agreement. SLA will tell you when this issue need to be resolved. Okay. And if you are raising a very high ticket, then very high ticket needs to be raised only if the production system is completely down. If the customer is not able to work in system completely, only then he need to raise a very high ticket. That will be considered to be resolved within 1 or 2 hours. Then you have high. When you have high, if your system is not working, but it is manageable, then they will be raising high. Medium, only the data issues. Low, the access issues. If they are not able to access anything, then they will be raising low. If it is a data issue, then they will be raising medium. If that is impacting business, but there is a workaround, then they will be raising high double ticket, and they will be raising very high ticket if the production is completely down. Okay, so this is how a support consultant should work. I'll show some tickets, what type of issues you might receive when you're working as a support consultant. Before there are any questions?
Venkatesh, the
Yeah.
support tickets also can be raised from SAP, right?
No, support ticket cannot be raised by SAP. Support tickets will be raised by